Bill and Cam back with Big East Commissioner Val Ackerman at MSG today to welcome UConn back to the Big East Conference. Big news this afternoon across the street. That's Susan Herbst, the current president of UConn, up on the stage there with Val Ackerman, who's now joining us here on our set. Val, thanks so much for coming over. It's great to meet you.
Thank you for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
So what was that like for you today to welcome UConn back to the Big East Conference?
It was really exciting. They, as you know, we're a charter school in the Big East when it was founded in 1979. So this readmittance coincided with our 40th anniversary, which wasn't planned, but very exciting that we were able to kind of pull that together in time. It's a great day for us because we get back a school that's meant so much to the history of our league, is a great basketball brand, is in our part of the country. Right. And then most of all, we'll bring great crowds to this place across the street here, Madison Square Garden, when we have the Big East men's basketball tournament. Right. So lots of positives here. Memorable day for sure.
Nice. I live up in UConn country, just so you know. It didn't ever sound right for UConn to be playing at the University of Houston or whatever it was in the AAC. Yeah. So it kind of fits the way it should now with them back in the conference.
Well, the AAC is a great conference. They've done important things in football, and I have great respect for Commissioner Resco. But I will say, UConn, to be back in their original home, I think for many people in our league sounded right as well. Yeah. Our presidents, of course, had to approve this, and they did that unanimously earlier in the week. What's also exciting is they're going to bring 20 sports to the Big East. We sponsor 22 now, so men's and women's basketball are kind of at the fore because we don't sponsor football anymore in the Big East. But we have lots of other sports where we know UConn teams will add a lot. The rivalries that already exist will be fortified. And then we've got some great schools out in the Midwest that are, I know, eager to kind of get them in the fold. So lots to look forward to.
Yeah. And Val, I'm from Chicago, and I have to admit this, that I watched more Big East basketball and Big East competitions than I did the Big Ten Conference, just being from the Midwest. So it just felt like the energy was right when you were taking the pictures and the announcement was made about UConn rejoining the conference. Did it feel that way for you? Just that energy, that natural energy was there?
Kim, I think so. I mean, it's funny. I grew up on Big East basketball, too. I grew up in New Jersey, and I was a student athlete at Virginia. And, that was exciting, of course, to be part of the ACC. But I don't think anybody in basketball wasn't dialed into all the great things that were happening in the Big East, and particularly in the mid-'80s when they were winning national championships and so on. And so, I was an observer to that, too. And so for somebody like me to be part of this kind of recreation of some of that vibe is really kind of cool. And, as far as UConn goes, they fit for all the right reasons right now. It's a different school than the ones that are part of the new Big East. They're a big public university. Our schools, other schools are smaller, private schools. 9 of the 10 have Catholic orientations, but this was the one school that seemed to check so many boxes, and so it does feel right to our guys as well.
It's been such a volatile time in terms of conferences and their members in, let's say, the last 5 years or so. Where do you think things may be headed with all of this?
Well, I think it's actually been kind of quiet the last several years on the realignment front. There was obviously tremendous upheaval that led to the formation of the Big East in its current form. Yeah. And so the old Big East was very, very much impacted by all that change. Many of the schools of the old Big East wound up in the ACC, interestingly enough, the conference I came from many years ago. So now, I think maybe but for this, it does seem kind of quiet, but you never know. I mean, this is potentially an area where you could see more change in the future. Many conferences look to their media rights contracts as a reason or not to make a change. I will tell you, in our case, we know UConn will bring things to us right away, but we are thinking about our future in the Big East. You know, where we're going to be on that sports landscape in the next 5 or 6 years, when we're going to have to deal with the renewal of our national television agreement. The world could be a very different place than it was 6 years ago when that agreement was formed. So those are the kinds of things that go through conferences heads and conference commissioners heads as they're making these kinds of decisions. But all that aside, I think again, what UConn will bring in the here and now is really, really unique.
And one of those big things that they'll bring is bringing back the traditions and the rivalries, and especially with a school like St. John's. So you think about St. John's and just the importance that they are and what they mean to the Big East. You know, just break that down for us and what the Red Storm, and just especially when it comes to basketball, it means for that conference.
Well, I mean, St. John's is sort of, you know, probably among the bigger components of the Big East DNA. Yeah. Such an amazing history. You know, this conference in many ways was built on the back of these Hall of Fame coaches, many of them colorful in their way. Coach Carnesecca, sort of top of the list, a great coach who kind of rode that program to the top. Chris Mullen, for whom I have incredible respect, Hall of Famer. Did so much for the program, and we'll miss him in the coaching seat, but his mark on St. John's can never be sort of erased. Yeah. They're New York's team. I mean, that's what they call themselves, and we think of them that way too. They play a lot of their home games still at Carnesecca Arena in Queens, but they have a new AD, Mike Cragg, who's a super talented guy who was spent many years at Duke. So he's now in the chair. He's trying to bring them to to new heights in basketball and other sports, and I know he's looking to play even more games here at Madison Square Garden as sort of the team builds. Brand new coach in Mike Anderson, who came in from Arkansas, has had great success in his career, and not only are they extremely well suited to do even more in men's basketball. Their women's basketball team under Coach Tartamella has done a great job, and they have many other Olympic sports who are very proud of what they're doing. So they're a great school to be in the conference, and hopefully this move can help them as well as the conference as a whole.
Now, before you joined the Big East as commissioner, you ran the WNBA as commissioner. So you just mentioned the St. John's women's program. You know a lot about the women's game. What does it mean to bring the UConn women back to the Big East?
Well, this is, such an honor for me, and really a joy to be kind of reunited in a manner speaking with Coach Auriemma, who I've known for many years. I spent 16 years at the NBA. I spent 8, working with David Stern and Russ Granick and others on the men's side. And then the last 8, I had the privilege of being part of the launch of the WNBA. And to sort of see women's basketball take its place, on the major sports landscape was really, really exciting. We're trying to build our women's programs at the Big East as much as we're trying on the men's side. It's kind of like the old Big East on the men's side. It's not quite what it used to be there. A lot of the really good women's basketball programs in the old Big East moved on, Notre Dame, Louisville, Rutgers, et cetera. But we've got great programs now in DePaul and Marquette, and Butler had a great year in women's basketball this year. Coach Auriemma will elevate everybody. I mean, he's Hall of Famer. He'll end with the most wins ever of a college coach, men or women. I had a chance to interface with him on the USA basketball circuit because he's done his time as a national team coach. So nobody's done more for the women's game, and I'm just looking for his counsel here because I still remain very interested in how we can keep women's basketball at a high level. So to have his brainwaves, in the room as we're trying to think out those bigger picture issues is going to be really, really fun.
All right, Val, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for dropping by. It's great to meet you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on bringing UConn back.
Yes.
All right, Big East Conference
Go
Commissioner.
Huskies.
For more great videos from the MSG 150, check out right there. And remember, our show is on Monday through Thursday, 8 to 10:30 p.m. on MSG Network and MSG Go.